Hello everyone and welcome to A Life of Balance. Today we're going to be making some decoupage Easter eggs, and I'm making some today to use on my Easter tree, but you can also make them to put in bowls and baskets around your house. Lots of different ways you can use these eggs. Now I've done some prep work before I started here, so I'm going to kind of explain that to you a little bit. First of all, my egg has a string on the top. I did that by making the hole in the egg a little larger, threading my string through, putting a knot on it, and then making that into a loop. Also, you'll notice that my eggs are not the bright colors that normal plastic eggs are. They are the normal plastic bright colored eggs. I've just put a very thin base coat of white on them just to kind of help underneath the flowers I'm going to be putting on them. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to prepare the napkin. I bought napkins that have a pretty flower border on them, and that's what I'm using to make the decoupage on these. So you're going to open your napkin up, and it's really important when you're using a napkin that you make sure that you're only using one ply of that napkin. So I'm going to work here on the corner until I can separate these into two, because it's a 2-ply napkin. It does say so usually on the package how many plies the napkin has. So make sure you're getting down to just that top ply. So mine is 2-ply, and so there I've got them separated, as you can see, and we're just going to pull them apart. And the white part can be discarded unless you have something else you want to use it for. Put mine over here. And then we're left with our 1 ply of our regular napkin. Now, like I said, I'm only using this floral part down here. I do think this is really cute, and so I think I'm going to use it on a flower pot or a box or something later. So I'm just going to trim the floral part off the bottom. And then once I have that piece trimmed away, then I'm going to, and you want to tear it into about 1-inch pieces. So in this case, I'm going to kind of tear down the middle, and I'm tearing, not cutting, because I want it to have those rough edges. I don't want any solid hard edges to be in my on my egg. I really don't want the solid hard edges. And yeah, I have a solid hard edge on one edge of both sides of this, but when I put it on the egg, I usually make sure I'm covering that edge up. And then I'm going to take each strip, and I have a bowl here just to hold the pieces that I have left, and tear it into about 1-inch pieces. Okay, now we have them all cut up here, or torn up here in this piece. And so we're going to do, there's basically 2 steps to this. To make this work best with not sticking to whatever you're working with, I found that you need to do it in 2 pieces. So let's see it. See, mine stuck really bad there that I did earlier. Okay, that's okay. For this, we're using Mod Podge. I am using the matte Mod Podge, but pretty much any Mod Podge will work. Kind of just a matter of, do you want a shine left to your eggs when you're done? So that's what we're using. So we're going to take and we're going to paint it on about half of our egg. I'm just going to do about half at a time so that they dry best in my, I'm using a little part of an egg carton here to dry them. So let's get our egg painted. Mod Podge goes on white, but it will dry clear, so you don't have to really worry too much about brush strokes or clumps, globs, etc. So we're just going to paint this top part, and then we are going to start layering our napkin pieces on. And so like I said, you're just going to take them and lay them on here. You know, there's not really any pattern. You just want to make sure you overlap them at least a little bit when you're doing it, so that you don't have any white between them. And the best way I found was to kind of work my way around the bottom here, or the middle, I guess I should say, and then to kind of work on the top edge. And once you get the pieces that are just, they're sort of on there, some of them as where they overlap, you're not on there good, but that's okay, because then we're going to go back through, and we're going to take Mod Podge, and we're going to seal off those edges and stick them down. We're going to do that all the way around our edge. And again, it doesn't really matter if we get want globs. You don't want super bunchy globs, but it doesn't matter if we get globs because they'll dry clear. I've got it so that it's pretty glumped on there. And then we're just going to sit it over here in our egg container to dry. And like I said, this is the best way I found because I don't want the bottom sticking. They're going to stick a little bit on the sides, but usually they don't do too bad. And then I always clean my hands off before I do the next one because I have found that if you have Mod Podge on your hands, it will pull the paint off. So let me get a couple more of these done and then we'll go on to our second step. Okay, there I have 3 drying for that section, and I've already, as I usually do, have 3 that have been done that part to them. So we're going to do the next step. And it's really a repeat, but this time we got to be a little careful of our string here at the top. Because remember, we've got a string at the top that we want to use to hang it on a tree. So we got to keep that string out of the Mod Podge. So we're going to coat the Mod Podge around, but then we're using our hand to keep our string upright while we do this. I tried doing this step while they were hanging like on a tree branch, but they just kind of knocked around too much that I didn't feel like I had enough control. So while it's a little bit of a contortionist nightmare to do this with my hand, it works better than it worked to do it with them hanging on something else. And then again, we're just going to start putting our pieces on. And this time I'm starting up around the string just so that I get, because that's kind of where it's a little bit harder to maneuver around, and I don't want too much overlap around that string. And then once we have our layer on, again, we're just going to paint on with the Mod Podge to get all of our little edges to lay down and to give us that outer coating. Just kind of keep moving your egg around until you get all your parts and pieces to lay down where you want them to. And if you have a clump like that you don't like the looks of, just kind of turn it off. Flatten it down with your fingers, whatever works. And then we're going to set them back in our egg container to dry. So I'm going to do the last 2 here real quick. And there we have the end of it. You can see it's all done. It's all covered. It's you can still looks a little white on the top, I'm sure, but it's all completely covered and it's very pretty. Let me get another one here so I don't get my hands any messier that I've already got done over here. Here's one. It kind of uses a different napkin, but you can see they turn out very pretty. They kind of have a rough, crackledy effect to them. And they, like I said, they work great hanging on a tree, or if you don't put the string in them. They work great in bowls or jars all over your house for decoration. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Be sure to subscribe below and click the bell so that you know when we bring out a new video.